Time for our weekly Women Win Wisconsin segment, where we highlight the women who are making a difference in their local communities and in many cases looking to step up and serve their community in new roles. Folks watching on the video feed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter will also notice that Kate Duffy from Motherhood for Good is here. So on the topic of big announcements today, Kate, are you here to announce that you're in labor or not? Is that...
I wish, although we can manifest that. We can just keep saying that and eventually it will happen.
Okay.
Eventually it will happen.
I mean, that's the only way out of this, right?
Let's do that when an OBGYN is in the room with you, not on a screen with you, but is actually nearby. So Kate's here to talk about Motherhood for Good and its changing role here on this fine radio program in just a bit. But like we said, this is the season now with the spring elections over. Fall elections, are top of mind for everybody right now. As we told you in our last segment, former State Assembly Rep Joe Pluff, after a 20-year hiatus, is coming back on board to run for one of the new seats in western Wisconsin. We hear tell that another former Republican state rep from western Wisconsin is probably going to be announcing soon getting back in the race. So there's not just new faces, there's some old familiar faces as well. Kristin, you have been encouraging people to run for seats in the legislature for the longest time now. And how is that shaking out over in your corner of the state? I know we've had a couple friends on. There was Alicia Saunders. There was Renee Pappelham. Mm-hmm. What's happening there? Can you tell us?
Yeah, over a year ago, we launched a campaign that we called 23 for 24. In the 8th Congressional District, we've got 23 seats on the ballot this fall. Last cycle, a third of those seats went unchallenged. This cycle, every single seat will be challenged. Every voter will have a choice in choosing their assembly rep and for those Senate seats that are on the ballot for those positions as well. And two of the most exciting people that I couldn't be more thrilled about are newcomers to the political arena, people who said, you know what, I can do this. This is my time. Renee Pappelham, Assembly District 1. This is Door County, Kewaunee, and a little bit of Brown. Renee is a young mom. She is a community leader, and she stepped up after the Dobbs decision happened and knew that she was called to serve. And the more she talked with community members, the more she knew that she was the right person. So yesterday, Renee announced she's got a big event tonight in Door County at Peach Barn in Sister Bay. I'm going to be there too. So we're going to have a blast celebrating Renee tonight. And then Alicia Saunders in Assembly District 2. She lives in Kimberly, so part of the valley, but also east, stretching over to Two Rivers. Alicia is a mom. She's a Navy veteran. She is a blue-collar worker, and she has an incredible amount of passion. She is vibrant, and she's going to take over the world. These two women, I couldn't be more excited to be in their camp.
You know what? They're pretty excited for you too. Wasn't Alicia one of three people the three women in the area that were thinking about maybe making a run for Congress in the district? She was one, right?
She was one. So Alicia called me one day and said, I really want to do this. And I said, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what this means. Like, what do you bring to the table and how can we work together? And then Kelly Peterson called me and said, I want to run for Congress too. And the three of us put our heads together. Instead of fighting, instead of primarying, we said, how can we all be part of the solution? Well, Alicia, of course, has decided to run for Assembly District 2. Kelly has a big announcement on the horizon. And Pat, I have an announcement too.
You do?
Yeah.
I guess by theory of deduction, we're down to one.
Pat, I am declaring today that I am running for Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District, and I couldn't be more excited.
This is a big deal. And, you've first, was it May of last year? I think there was a news story about you considering making a run for Congress like this. There's been a lot of discussions. There've been, meetings, you've had public forums. So what did it, because you were talking about challenging Mike Gallagher long before he first abruptly said he was not going to run again, then abruptly announced he's just going to up and quit Congress. You were ready to take him on. So that probably wasn't a factor. What ultimately made you say this is the right race for you?
Well, just like Alicia and Kelly, I just want to be part of the solution. I want to be the most effective leader, the most effective doctor, the most effective woman that I can be. And just as the year has changed, as we've gotten our new maps, as Congressman Gallagher has decided to step away, we see a path here. There is a clear path to victory, even in what in the past has been an R+16 district, with women at the helm, with women voting, with women stepping up and acknowledging that my personal freedoms are being taken away from me. They're looking at democracy. They're recognizing that our democracy is in peril and that it's our job as moms, as small business owners, as community leaders to take the helm and to lead here. So that was the reason.
Now, by your own admission, and we've all seen that, this is not a toss-up district, and the district lines did not change for congressional races. So, I mean, you've talked a bit about how since the Dobbs decision, there's just been this change in the electorate. But is that the only thing that you think you'd have going in your favor as a Democrat running in such a heavily Republican district?
Well, we've seen since 2020 where voters are leading. You know, with Janet Protasewicz, she lost this district just by 4 points, and we didn't really even talk about reproductive freedom during her campaign up here. And the whisperings that we're hearing amongst people who identify as conservatives or who formerly voted for Republicans, they don't agree with this mega extremism. They recognize that President Trump is not telling the truth and that he does not reflect their values and their ideals. They're looking for something different. And they know that in order to marginalize what's happening in Congress right now, the least effective Congress, by the way, in decades, in order to get things done for the people, we've got to elect officials who are going to work for the people, who are going to represent the people. And that's who I am. I'm the people.
You are the people. And you are one of the people who has been at the forefront of restoring women's reproductive health rights. That any time before the Dobbs decision, I think people would have looked at you, as an OBGYN, as an outspoken advocate for full reproductive care, which includes abortion care, that would have been a real liability. But I think now that people have seen what extremism on the right is able to do once it captures the U.S. Supreme Court, I'm not saying your race is going to be easy, not by any stretch, but it's definitely going to be different. But you're still going to have some very fierce opposition on this topic.
I do hard things, Pat. I'm a first-generation college student. I became a doctor out of love. And not only am I a doctor, but I am a nationally recognized leader in this field. During my first campaign for assembly in 2020, we didn't talk about abortion at all because it was a liability. But it's important. And now it's more important than ever. And not just to talk about abortion, but to talk about how it fits into healthcare, because abortion is healthcare. It's related to IVF services and infertility and miscarriage management and complicated pregnancies. If we want healthy moms, if we want healthy families, we've got to provide comprehensive reproductive health care. And we have to acknowledge all of the social determinants that fit into our health care. It's not just about handing somebody a pill or prescribing physical therapy. It's making sure people have clean water, that they have strong public education, that they have opportunities in small businesses. There are so many things that leaders can do to encourage people, to help people live their healthiest possible life. And that's why it's perfect for a doctor in this role. Actually, I'm surprised there aren't more doctors who step up and run, because many of the decisions that legislators make on the federal and state level affect our health directly and indirectly.
As an OBGYN, let's then go back and check in on Kate Duffy. Nope, still pregnant. Okay, hasn't delivered yet. But Kate is here from Motherhood for Good because, Kristin, with you having, shall we say, a new time commitment and a schedule commitment, the Women Win Wisconsin segment is still as vital as ever. But so is our Motherhood for Good segment, which had been on Mondays. But Kate, you and everybody around you at Motherhood for Good, you've talked about stepping up and moving over to this Thursday morning shift to continue to highlight women around our state.
Yeah, we're so excited about that. We've been in talks with Kristin, and we're going to take over the Thursday morning slot of Women Win Wisconsin. And we're going to be talking to women, people who are running for office, change makers all over the state, people just like Kristin, and people running for assembly, and anybody who's kind of doing big things in their community. And we're going to take that to weekly. So you'll be seeing more of us. And we're really excited to kind of bring more of those conversations to you guys and take over for Kristin so she can go and run for Congress and do this thing. And I have like perma chills, by the way. We're so excited this is happening. We're so excited.
Perma chills.
This couldn't be more right. Motherhood for good, Women Win Wisconsin. We now have a record number of women serving in the Wisconsin state legislature, and it's still less than a third. This changes this fall because women are stepping up in ways that we've never stepped up before. We're supporting each other, and we're recognizing that we are the solution.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think as well, a point that we've made repeatedly and will again, as we saw from some of this week's election results, these races are going to be close. And Kate, this is right in your wheelhouse of talking to all those busy moms out there saying, we know you're busy. You are not too busy to vote when some of these races and issues come up. That sounds to me like it's been your core message.
Of course, you're never too busy to vote. And we're asking people to even go above and beyond that. We know not everybody has time to like go out and knock on doors for a couple hours, but there's so many other ways that you can get engaged and involved and, share things with your friends, whether it's on social media or a daycare pickup or at school or a book club or anything. And like you guys were talking about with the 8th Congressional District, it may not be a toss-up, but it is flippable. And there's a lot of hope there and all the stars are aligning. And if there's ever going to be a time where we're going to be able to do this and flip this, it's right now with this candidate in this political environment. And we are going to be counting on our community and women and families across the state to really rally and get involved and help spread the word and get involved in these elections, both for the federal elections and at the local level, because yes, they are so close.
And flippable is the right word. You just look at what we saw with the Green Bay City Council. Just the other day,
yes,
that happens. There were county boards that flipped control this week as well. In every case, it comes down to people who may have once upon a time thought that they were too busy to get involved, getting involved. And that doesn't just happen because somebody runs. It doesn't just happen because of a radio show. It happens in large part because people like Kate and Motherhood for Good have been embracing social media and all the things that I'm assuming, Kate, Motherhood for Good is still going to do to reach people on Instagram and elsewhere so that while they're scrolling through and seeing a lot of entertaining videos, they're also going to get informed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to keep putting information out there. We're going to keep setting up events and different ways that people can get involved. We'll keep putting stuff out there so that you can grab whatever works for you. Nobody has to do everything, but if everybody does something, we can all kind of work together and make change happen.
What I'm looking forward to is, as Kristin and I have been saying for the better part of a year, I should really be doing more on TikTok. Yep, I should be doing more on TikTok too. And we've watched how busy you've been on Instagram. I finally have started to step up my TikTok game. We finally I'm sure this campaign is going to include more TikToks out of Dr. Lyerly. So we have that to look forward to.
We do. And I just want to emphasize a point that Kate made. There is a place for everyone here. Get out and vote. Have a conversation with somebody. Volunteer for a campaign. Do something because this is our time. And really, we hear this all the time. This is the most consequential election of your lifetime. This really is the most consequential election of our lifetime. So let's do this.
Are you still going to be where you've been on social media as far as with the handle Kristin for Wisconsin? KristinForWisconsin.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Threads. Yeah, and that's again Kristin with the two eyes. So Kristin
and increasingly TikTok. I can get some help from Pat.
You're going to get help from all corners. We are very excited for you. And Kate, we're very grateful for you for stepping up and helping continue to show how women can win Wisconsin, like the two of you. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.